What's going on, everybody, and welcome on into episode 254 of the Garage Beers podcast, brought to you proudly here on the OBR streaming network. The OBR is the best place in all of Cleveland, especially right now, for all the best Cleveland Browns coverage that you are going to find. And then on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m., OBR After Dark, you get to come hang out with us and talk about all of your favorite sports teams, not just the Browns, but we're going to get into the Cavs. We're going to get into the Blue Jackets. We'll get into even some things just from around the state of Ohio. There's been a lot of fun news going on around the state of Ohio, and we're going to talk about all of it here on episode 254. So we're glad you're here. If you're joining us live, YouTube, Twitch, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Listen to Brad Ward here. I know over on YouTube, we're almost at 7,000. So make sure you hit like and subscribe over there. And make sure if you're following on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, just make sure you hit follow for the OBR and hit follow for the Garage Beers podcast as well everywhere. With you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike, and joining me tonight, first of all, over on the east side of Cleveland, find him online at Garage Beers Chad. It's Chad Meyer. What's up, Chad?
Did you guys see these new MLB overlap hats?
Nope. We can't start with that. Sorry. I've got a whole thing.
What? Okay. Well,
I got a whole thing.
Well, what sort of dipshit thought that was a good idea?
I know. I got a whole thing.
Okay. Boys, I have an announcement to make.
Yes.
Today, March, what is it? 11th, 10th, 9th? 11th?
Whatever day it is.
Today is going to be my last show.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, today is going to be my last show.
Yeah. What
what
other thing are you talking about here?
I hate to do this, but it's just I'm not going to be able to do the show anymore. It's just there's come a time, I mean, where everything runs its course, and I can't do the show in the basement anymore. We set up the porch, and I'm going to do this is my last show in the basement.
Let's go.
Because it's going to be porch time.
Let's go. Porch time.
Even though with this goddamn virtual background, you're never going to be able to see my beautiful outside background. But I'm going on the porch from here on out next week, baby. Let's go.
I love that for all of us, because porch time signifies it's time for all the rest of us to just be able to be outside, because if Chad can do this from the porch, we can all just hang out outside. The weather's getting nice. Daylight savings time has happened. I know some people don't like that, but I like that it's light out later at least. Chad, big time. Look at Drew in Brick City. He's in the comments already. He's on the porch in Dayton tonight already.
It's probably
I was getting in for the porch.
It's probably 5 to 10 degrees warmer.
He's got his handful of Bush and having a St. Fatty's Irish Red Ale.
Well, P.S. Where the hell have you been, Drew in Brick City? You haven't been here for weeks.
Yeah, welcome back, Drew, and we're glad you're here, even though we're yelling at you. Also joining us down in Nashville, Tennessee for a few more weeks. But find him online at Garage Beers Joe. It's Joey Whalen. What's up, Joe?
The curse is broken. My boys.
Is it?
The Jersey curse. I have a very short historied Jersey curse, meaning that the only ever named jersey I've ever owned was Francisco Lindor, and I bought it the year before we traded him. I got this jersey last year. I don't think we're trading Myles Garrett. I think he's around for a little bit. So let's go.
Let's go.
Funny story.
Selfishly, when he asked for the trade, the first thing I thought of was like, fuck.
The jersey.
You want to hear something funny?
Go ahead, Chad.
You guys want to hear something funny? We were at the mall the other day, and the sports store in the mall had all Myles Garrett stuff 50% off because they thought he was going to be traded.
Oh,
I said,
win.
Yep. I just take one off of there and got myself a Myles Garrett jersey on the cheap, boys.
Yeah. Well, Garrett's like a guy that's easy to be a fan of too. So even if he did leave, like, I'd still wear it.
Hey, listen, not to toot any horns, but whether you're just a fan of Garage Beers or whether you've been paying attention to the OBR since Myles requested the trade, we all told you what was going to happen. We all told you what was going to happen. We told you that he wasn't getting traded. That store wouldn't have put those jerseys on sale if they would have paid attention to the OBR. That store would have made a lot more money if they had paid attention to the OBR. So you should be doing the same thing. Boys, we got a great show. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Again, we got playoff races. The Cavaliers right now, they're not playing 3 of their 7 best players, and they were losing by like 20 points in this game, and they are up 2 with a minute and a half to go. If they win the game tonight, they secure the division and a top 4 seed in the East already, which is not surprising based on how their season went. But you got the Blue Jackets over there. Every time they get into a game, I know they had a bad game tonight, but every time they get into a game that has like big playoff implications against one of the teams that's like right near them, they seem to excel. We'll talk about that. The Browns are full on in free agency mode, so we will talk about what they have done and what it means for them going forward and so much more. But we can't do any of it without talking about our garage beers of the week. So get into the comments. Let us know what your beers of the week are. And boys, why don't we send it around for our garage beers of the week? And Joe, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, boys, well, as you know, I'm moving in a couple weeks. So we're clearing out all the fridges, all the freezers. We're going deep. We're going into the things that I normally save so I can have a Christmas beer in summer. But it's not going to make the drive out west. It ain't going to do it. So we got the 12 dogs, and we're actually working through this because I don't know, just 12 dogs is not hitting like it used to, or maybe my taste buds have changed. I don't know, because it's clearly not the batch. It's not the batch. Apparently that's impossible. It's never had a bad batch ever. Yeah. They should have recalled this beer. But generally I feel like most years 12 dog slaps. This one's just kind of weird. Actually, you know what? 4
good
months
batch.
in the
It's
fridge.
a good batch.
4 months in no, not that. Just 4 months in the fridge might have actually helped solve some of the issues there.
It ages like milk.
Yeah, a fine curd, you know.
Oh, gross. That's hideous. Chad, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm going with the Brew Kettle Winter Warmer. Whoa.
There it is.
Whoa. Down there.
Oh,
yep.
You guys are going very, very
Look at that
wintry.
boy. Christmas in March. Here we are.
Holiday that we all celebrate. Christmas in March.
Of course.
All right, you got a winter warmer. You got a Christmas ale. I'm going to be a little bit more timely with mine. Boys, we are 6 days away from one of the great days of the year. And if we're 6 days away from one of the great days of the year, then I'm going to go with my heritage and my people. And I'm going to go with this straight Guinness. Guinness Draft. St. Patty's Day occurs. There's that. St. Patty's Day occurs Monday of next week. So we are just 6 days away from St. Patty's Day. And that's a day that we're going to celebrate. My kids are on spring break. I will be a little slower with work. So I am going to be hanging out with the kids, having some green beers, getting some corned beef, and hanging out for St. Patty's Day in less than 1 week. And I'm pumped about it. So I'm doing a Guinness on the show tonight. That's mine.
You got to we got to rework our presentations of the beers. It's got to be in front.
It's got to be right in front of you.
Right in front of you.
Right in front. Look at this.
Over here.
It's like you're holding it. It's a chalice.
No good. Can't see that.
It's a chalice.
There, right in front.
There it is.
My beer over.
I like that. I like that for us. All right, those are our garage beers of the week. If you're drinking with us tonight, get into the comments. Let us know what you are drinking, and we'll flash it up on the screen. But now it's time for us to get into episode 254. And Chad, I hate to cut you off before because I knew you were going to bring it up. I knew every time I have a good idea to do something, and Joe, we need you back for this, buddy.
I'm here.
But every time I have a good idea to do something, you come on to the show, and your little intro thing is always whatever that idea is. It never fails. So I had to cut you off, but I'm starting the show. I'm going to be non-traditional with the show here. And I'm going to start the show with my asshole of the week.
Okay.
Oh.
And my asshole of the week is whoever created these monstrosities that are, what the hell are they called? The
overlap hats.
The overlap hats for Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Well, so what do we know? I don't even know the story behind these, to be honest with you.
No.
I don't know why they're created. Is it just for fun? Are these just like a for fun hat?
I don't know them either, but I don't really care. They're ugly as shit.
They're not going to actually at no point are they going to be wearing these, are they?
I hope
No.
not. I hope not.
Well, I don't think you can wear some of them.
I don't know. They do some things. So I wanted to go through and show you guys some examples of why these are terrible, right? And some of them aren't bad, right? and I didn't even make a slide for this one, but like if you look at the Cubs overlap hat, the C, the Cubs C is right where the C in Chicago is. And so it just looks like it says Chicago with like a big C in the middle. And it's like, oh, that works. That's okay. It's not terrible. You can't say that for all of these.
No.
I do want to start. I want to start by showing you our own hometown, the Guakins. I believe this is the Guakins.
Guakins. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the Guakins. This is the Cleveland Guardians overlap hat. But you get the gist. Like they put the logo over the name of the team. And so it just looks ridiculous, right? And the funny thing is, the Guardians don't even have a bad one. This isn't even a bad one.
No,
they might be the Guakins, but I like guac. I will always pay extra for a little bit of guac. I'm a guac fan.
I will not pay for this hat. But
I will not pay for this hat, but I'm in for guac. I'm cool with the Guakins. Let's move on to some of these other examples, boys, because I don't know if you saw these. Joe, did you see these?
I saw a couple, and if you don't mention them, I'll talk about them.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to mention them. We're going to mention them because there's a couple of these. If you haven't seen these, buckle the fuck up. If you haven't seen these, get ready for what's about to happen on your screen. How about the Tatas?
The Tatas? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the state of Texas. Heavy speaking.
Or the Spanish language.
Heavy Spanish-speaking population in the state of Texas. A lot of people down there speak Spanish. A lot of people down there don't like people that speak Spanish, but we'll get into that at a different time. Lots of Spanish speakers down in Texas. Can anybody tell me, a question for the panel here. Can anybody tell me what tetas means in Spanish?
Titties.
Boobies.
Yep. They made a damn shirt for the Texas Rangers that means titties.
Let's
in
go.
Spanish.
Let's go. Actually, I love this. I think I want this hat now.
I think that one's going to sell. That one's definitely going to sell.
That's 100% going to sell.
Right. So, like, of the hats, it's hilarious. It's like they didn't even look at what they were doing. But this isn't like a bad hat. This is very funny. They're not all funny. Well, they are all funny, but whoa, I don't know that I'd buy them all. I would probably wear this one just for funny stuff. But like,
for sure.
Would you wear the ass hose?
Would
you wear the ass hose?
I was going to say, see, I read that as ass hose.
It is ass hose. I just said it wrong. Would you wear the ass hose hat?
No. Yes.
What the hell happened to the state of Texas?
Again, for funny purposes, I totally would.
Oh, I would not.
Oh,
it the ass hose.
Yeah. It looks so bad. It looks real bad.
Why?
They made a shirt that says the ass hose.
That's phenomenal.
A hat?
God, I don't know what I'm
doing.
That's
phenomenal.
You keep saying
is it a shirt? Is it a hat?
They're hats.
I don't know what I'm doing. These
are
all hats. These have all. I can confirm these have all been hats.
Not a single shirt has been shown.
That's what's happened though. I'm looking at what they did, and I'm so mind boggled by the decisions that got made to actually put these things up for sale. Remember, these you can't just put a team's logo on a hat and sell it for money. These are like officially licensed things.
Yeah.
These are things that got stamps of approval, and somebody looked at that and said, "Ass hose."
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
sell it.
Hey, John.
Hey,
can we sell the titties hat? Yeah, all right. Yeah, put it on market. Put it to market.
Unbelievable. But the last one for me takes the cake because as much as I can't believe any of these made it through. This last one, I just simply can't believe made it to the point where they were going to sell it. And the sad thing is I believe they've pulled some of these, so they're not going to sell it. But if you are an Angels fan, get ready.
Ooh, yeah.
You are now a fan of the Los Angeles Anels.
Yep.
Los Angeles Anels.
Yeah. Forget the G. You're now the Anals forever. Like nobody's gonna ever forget this.
Los Angeles Anals with a capital A for sure.
With a capital A.
Yeah. How close is Anaheim to Silicon Valley?
The Anals.
The Anals. There you go.
Boy.
I love the fact that this got through. But but this officially, I won't have an asshole of the week when we get to the midway part of the show. This officially, whoever just stamped these, it's like they didn't even look.
Oh, but like
it's like your boss with an expense report. He doesn't want to read it. He's just gonna be like, yeah, fine. That's what happened with these. He was like, I don't care. Just send these on. And we wind up with the tetas, the asshos, and the anals.
Wow.
It's such a bad design too. Like this.
Yeah, they're ugly.
English language aside, that's gross. Like that's a horrible looking hat.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not great.
Yeah. And dude, it's like and the fact and the fact that the point of the A goes through the halo on anals. Like it's just not.
My God!
It's just not like I don't know. How did this go through? How did someone look at this and went, "Yeah, that's the one"?
I feel like I just want to like flash these up through the show. Like we'll just keep them through the the assholes. Maybe that's what we should have from now. You know what? We should all buy this hat and we can have our assholes of the week.
That'd be awesome.
The assholes of the week.
Yeah.
This right here, this thing on my screen right now is the asshole of the week.
Yeah.
Right there. So that's my asshole of the week.
All right.
Made those hats. That was great. Just great. Terrible and great all at the same time.
Well, I'm glad we're waiting to the middle of the show because my asshole of the week's just going to bring everything down. Muted.
All right.
Darn it. I said, let's wait for that. I wanted to kick us off in style with that. So, like I said, we're going to get into a little bit of the Cavs are trying to hang on for dear life against the Nets. They are seconds away from going to 15 wins in a row, even though they didn't play Donovan Mitchell and DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome tonight. And they're still probably going to wind up with a win as they come back from, they were down like 20 at one point in this game. The Blue Jackets, tough night, but we'll still talk about that game the other night against the Rangers. They got another one coming up against the Rangers this week.
Yeah.
But what a night they had against the Rangers the other night. We're going to talk about that. But boys, let's kick things off. It's been a wild week in Cleveland Browns land. And to be honest with you, we've spent so much time over the last like 2 months just trying to avoid talking about the Browns like the plague, right? Like there's been nothing good with the Browns. We've talked about it over and over. We've ranted about it. It's been disaster after disaster. It's been bad news after bad news. And all of a sudden, this past weekend, we all got a little bit of good news. And by a little bit of good news, I mean about the best good news we could have possibly gotten that really made the offseason feel like it's going to take on a different tone. And that news, boys, and again, this happened since the last time we had a show. That news is the whole trade drama is over with number 95, the man that Joey's jersey he has on right now. The drama is over. Number 95 is a Cleveland Brown, and he's a Cleveland Brown probably for the rest of his career, barring something coming down the pike at the very end of his career. But Myles Garrett signs his contract extension worth $40 million a year. He's the highest paid defensive player of all time, and deservedly so. But boys, just give me a reaction when the phone dings and you look down and you see the notification that says Myles Garrett has agreed to a contract extension with the Cleveland Browns. What was the feeling? What were the vibes like in your house that day?
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard that Myles Garrett requested a trade, I was thinking,
stop it. You did that on purpose.
But then after I heard about the extension, I was like, I mean, I don't know. I'm very excited.
Wait, what? You were like, what? Did you mean to go the other direction?
No.
You failed miserably at that.
Oh, no. My internet's crapping out. Sorry.
You failed miserably. I think what you meant to do was say you felt like he was being kind of an asshole when it happened. But then when you saw that he signed an extension, you were like, take us.
Well, technically, anal is asshole, so.
Yeah. I don't know where Joe went out. Joe, are you still there? And your video's off or what?
He died.
I don't know. We'll get Joe back.
Everybody
Chad,
died.
Chad, why don't you talk about your feelings about the Myles Garrett situation? I know you made a TikTok video about it just over the course of time, but tell me your feelings on that situation when you saw that he extended.
Honestly, my TikTok video was more
Earlier.
based off of the fact that people were all of a sudden turning on Myles because he wanted to change he wanted to change his situation. But when the extension came through, honestly, I didn't go nuts. I was happy, right? I was happy, but I didn't go nuts. And I think the biggest reason why I didn't go nuts was because I was expecting this the entire time. I never, not for 1 second did I think Myles was going to be off of this team. I felt all along that this was going to end in an extension. And, how many times did we talk about it, right? How many times did we talk about like the Lamar situation? All of a sudden he got his money and then everything was all fine and dandy. It is literally the exact same situation here. Whether he was sending a message, whether he actually wanted to get traded or not, they can say it's not about the money all they want, but in the end, it's all about the price. It is about the price. Everybody can play, everybody can say whatever they want, but it is. Everybody's got a price. People talk about, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Well, the grass might not be that green here in Cleveland, but $40 million a year, the grass is looking pretty green. So yeah, I was very happy that this is that he got extended, but I wasn't. I mean, I didn't go like, oh my God, like Myles Garrett signed an extension, because I was expecting it the entire time.
I did, but it was as much of a relief as anything, because, and again, you'll see DeAndre was saying it in the comments here. Pete Smith spoke about this before it happened. We've all been talking about it for the last 2 months. Again, if you've been following all of us on the OBR, we've been telling you.
Ooh.
We had Jack Duffin on this show that explained the ins and outs of what things would look like contractually from a cap situation if they were to trade Myles Garrett. It was impossible the whole way. So, Chad, I think the only thing I will disagree with is this. I don't think this decision was made solely because of the money. I don't think what happened here was done solely because of the money. I think Myles Garrett was frustrated with never getting close. He's been in the league since 2017, and he's never been close. And I think there was legit frustration there. Do I think he really wanted out of Cleveland? No, maybe not that. But do I think he kind of wanted to send a message? Sure. But I also think that maybe his agent told him this. Maybe he said he wanted to do it anyways, whatever it is. But I think they just got to a point where they went back and forth, and they got to a point where the Browns just kept going back to him saying, dude, we're not trading you. We cannot trade you. It will cripple our franchise if we trade you. Not that he cares too much about that, but like he understands that he was in a place where he had no leverage. Unless he was prepared to sit out for years of his career, he had no leverage. There was nowhere he was going to go with it. And so they did the smart thing. They got together. They made him the highest paid defensive player in the league. And they gave him a contract he has earned. And now it feels like the doom and gloom is being lifted away from this franchise a little bit. It feels like now they can start to build again around a good roster. They still have a good roster. People are sitting here acting like 3 wins is indicative of the talent on this roster. It's not even close. So they have a good roster. They realize that they have to completely change the quarterback room, which we will get to in a minute, because that's exactly what they're doing. And the Browns, we're back to the conversations that they were having back when they were doing Hard Knocks, when Myles Garrett was saying this team's closer than what anybody's given it credit for, because I truly believe this team is much closer than anybody's given credit for. So the doom and gloom is lifted. Myles is back. We knew it was going to happen. But the other thing is, it's nice that it happened so quickly. This was a situation that I think we all thought could have dragged for a long time. And instead, it's done. It's over with. His extension is signed, and Myles Garrett's going to be here for a long time. So while I never really thought anything different would happen, the relief of it just being over with and done, that to me is the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to push back on you a little bit there, Mike. I don't know that the doom and gloom is totally lifted. right? I mean, for as much talent as you say this roster has, and it does, it has a lot of talent. They went 3-14 last year. I know a big part of that was because of Deshaun Watson. But after last year, I just don't see how anybody could feel totally confident that they can fully bounce back this year and make a playoff run. Could they go in the right direction? Sure. I'm open to that. But I told you many times, Mike, that last year broke me as a Browns fan. For as much talent as there was on this roster, the fact that they couldn't produce anything out of it, I don't trust this franchise a single bit anymore. I'm not going to trust this franchise at all. There's talented players on this team. Could it come together? Absolutely. But I also had those same thoughts last year. I also had those same thoughts after what the COVID year. I also had those, and it was nothing but a letdown. Until the Browns, and I said that in my TikTok video, actually, until the Browns can consistently put a winner on the field, I'm not going to trust them. I'm not going to trust them a single bit.
Yeah, I think you and I are talking circles around each other, though, because I don't disagree with what you're saying. I learned my lesson. We get to, well, it depends on what happens the rest of this offseason. But we get to the schedule game with Cameron Justice ahead of next year. There's no way I'm picking this team to win 14 games.
No,
I've learned my lesson.
Right.
I've learned my lesson. But, Chad, you have to acknowledge that with the impending, what felt like unhappiness, unpleasantries, the impending divorce, that even though we didn't think it was going to happen, the fact that the specter of it was hanging there between a generational talent and the program was just hanging over it. The fact that that's gone does change it. Maybe it doesn't change how many wins you think they're going to have. Maybe it doesn't change whether you think they're going to win a Super Bowl, but it certainly, for me at least, changes the outlook on, okay, we're back in the room. We're back with our best players. And now we can start just talking about how you're going to build this thing again, as opposed to if they would have traded Myles Garrett, guys. And I guess maybe this is the thing. The alternative to what happened is if they would have traded Myles Garrett, you also would have seen Joe Bitonio retire. You would have seen Denzel Ward gone. All your favorite players would have been gone. And it would have been tear down to the studs and rebuild the whole thing time. And I know some people think, oh, maybe that's not the worst thing. As a franchise, you don't get rid of your best players just because. You don't.
Sure.
You don't.
Yeah, sure. And the fact that that's not looming over this franchise's head anymore is a great thing. I'll acknowledge that. I'll fully acknowledge that. But you also can't deny the regression of the defense last year, the regression of the defense that Jim Schwartz had last year, right? And the biggest thing of this, the biggest thing of all, Mike, that we've talked about, that none of this matters unless you have a quarterback. And the fact of the matter is, this is going to be a transition year at quarterback, right? Whether it's
let's talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about that in a minute. Joe, you went out as you were starting to talk about Myles Garrett, but where do you fall in this range of how we're feeling that Myles Garrett is back?
I had a whole joke and everything. I don't know if that even came true.
Well, it started to. You said at first you thought he was an asshole, but I think you meant to say now you're feeling like it's Tetas, but you went to anals instead. And
nope, that was the right one to go to, actually. All right. No, that was intentional. I knew exactly where I was going with that hat.
My dear God.
Look, I think it's a huge moral win. Like, that sucks to say, but it's very exciting for the fan base to have Myles Garrett. I think, given the history of Andrew Berry at the helm in the GM position, he needed some wins, but he also needs to be literally perfect if this team is going to be competitive next year with the rest of the offseason, with the draft picks, with free agency, with restructuring deals, to have money, because there isn't money right now. Like, he has to be perfect. And there's still huge questions at offensive line. We don't know what this defense is going to look like, because, to Chad's point, like, Jim Schwartz was that entire group went through a giant regression year. And, like, towards the end of the season, you can point to, like, okay, they're on the field more than they should. Like, the offense struggled, but, like, they won against the Cowboys. Like, that defense just was not together as a unit. So there's a lot of things I really need to improve with this team. This is a step in the right direction. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but I'm excited Myles Garrett is back. back because I love him. He's great.
Yeah. So listen, it also changes, the way we have to view the outlook of this offseason, what positions have to be addressed and how they're going to approach that, because all of a sudden your foundation on defense is back. And yeah, I think a fair thing to say, guys, I struggled all of last year with blaming the defense for anything. I struggled with it because the defense spent like 75% of every game out on the field. I struggled with it because defensively, they were worn out every game. Think about the games. Think about how the games went last year. Think about how many times they started awesome defensively. Like they looked like the shutdown, lockdown defense that happened 2 years ago. And they would do it, and it would play that way for a quarter, and then half of the next quarter, and then they'd start to wear down a little bit, and then the third quarter would roll around, and all of a sudden the other team's just like airing it out on them. And I don't care who you have out there. If you have the ineptitude offensively that the Cleveland Browns had last year, defensively, it's going to be hard to succeed because all you're doing is you're just out. We had a better chance to score when the defense was out on the field than we did when the offense was out on the field last year. Think of how many games they didn't score 20 points last year. Remember the streak to start the year where we didn't score 20 points in like 100 straight games? I mean, I think the defense played well enough, but I think there's the physical nature of it, and I think the physical nature of it leads into the mental nature of it. So again, defensively, I don't think the defense is a bad defense. I don't think they regress nearly as much as people think they regressed last year. But again, football is a total team game. The offense needs addressed. It was one of the worst offenses. It was one of the worst offenses the Browns have had since they've been back in '99 last year. They have got to fix the offense. A halfway decent offense is going to make that defense look much better.
But then when they weren't on the field as much, Mike, they didn't do so well. In those games that Jameis actually had the offense moving, where they actually were able to sustain drives, the defense still gave up points. So maybe it's not a huge regression, but the fact is they were a far cry from what they were the year before at 11-6. So
and the best defense in the league.
Yeah, and the best defense in the league. So I understand what you're saying when it comes to that they were on the field a lot, and that's true in a lot of those games last year, but they also didn't come through in the games that they were on the field as much. So it's a whole ass regroup and hopefully bounce back year for the Browns. Hopefully we'll see.
Yeah. So Myles Garrett signs the extension. He's back. Everybody's feeling a little bit better. Everybody's feeling a little bit. Even if you're not going crazy, like Chad's lost in the sauce right now with the and as Browns fans, I think probably should be, with the fact that this team just sucks so much. It's impossible to suck as much as they suck, and yet they suck this much. But now we have moved into the start of. First of all, is there anything dumber? Why does the NFL do everything so dumb and yet they're so popular? The NFL scouting combine or the draft combine, dumb as hell. The fact that they call it the legal tampering window.
Yeah.
This week, the legal tampering window. Shut up.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh, speaking of that legal tampering window, I don't know if you saw it.
Who calls it that?
Huh? Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa to the Bills.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's going to get hurt like 7 games in.
Yeah.
Anyway, tampering period. Let's go.
Well, it's the dumbest name of any. Just say free agency's open and roll with it. Like, what does all the legal tampering period means is the guys that sign like 1 minute after it starts at noon. Those were the guys that got illegally tampered with before the legal tampering process started. That's all that means. That's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
But slow day for the Browns yesterday when the window opened. A lot of moves were getting made. To be honest with you guys, there wasn't a ton of excitement for me league-wide. I think there were some good players that moved around a little bit, but I don't think there was anything overly crazy. I think watching the dismantling of the San Francisco 49ers has been a little bit crazy. Watching what's going on with the Eagles, just getting rid of some of their core guys, even though they still have like 100 core guys, but watching them get rid of some of their core guys, that's a little bit crazy. But here are the Browns. If you were a Browns fan, those first several hours yesterday, those first about 5 hours of the day yesterday were pretty all right. Browns haven't really done anything. Watching guys come off the board, watching guys you like come off the board, and then all of a sudden, boys, the news hits. And this one hit like a ton of bricks, and I am so excited to talk about it. I'm so excited to talk about it. The Cleveland Browns, it is announced that get that little hand out of here. Get that little hand out of here. The Cleveland Browns announce that they've made a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, a 5th-round pick, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the last quarterback remaining in the room, on their way to Philly for Kenny Pickett.
Let's go.
And Cleveland erupts. And Cleveland erupts. It is the small hands jokes. I saw more memes. What's Kristen Wiig's character from Saturday Night Live that has like the little baby hands? Junice or something. Junice.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of those. I've seen more pictures of Kenny Pickett in that Guardian hat and with his little hands on the ball than anything else. But Kenny Pickett, nonetheless. And by the way, I said this last night on the free agency kind of kickoff recap. I'm so done with the Super Bowl winning quarterback jokes. They weren't funny when they started, and they're still not funny. Everybody that's like, well, the Browns wouldn't got a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That was never funny one time. Stop that shit. Knock that off.
Right.
Knock that off. That's bad.
All right.
But they bring in Kenny Pickett, and right now, I know everybody's like, well, Deshaun Watson's still there. No, he's not. Deshaun Watson is not still there. He is an employee on a sabbatical. That is what Deshaun Watson is, and he's gone. Yeah. The only quarterback in the room right now is Kenny Pickett. Who would have ever saw that coming, boys? Yeah. Kenny Pickett's Cleveland Brown.
Think of Deshaun Watson like remember that time J.R. Smith was just sent home? They were like, look, just stay home and we'll pay you. Like,
wasn't that when he threw soup at Damon Jones?
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, or just to bring it back to milk, like it's that milk that's gone bad in your fridge, but like trash day isn't for another week. So you're just gonna leave it in there, but like, you're not gonna open it again.
Yeah, for sure. Look at Kenny Carnahan's Pickett. Welcome. Okay, welcome. All I don't know why everybody was going nuts about this, right? Because all they did was just all the Browns did with this move was improve their all the Browns did with this move was just improve their quarterback 3 situation, right? Like there's the people went nuts over this because they thought he was the entrenched starter. Like, oh, we signed Myles Garrett to this big contract, and when they sat down and talked about the plan, they talked about Kenny Pickett. Oh my God, I can't believe that they did this. Blah 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 blah. No. Kenny Pickett is just coming in to, sure, they say he's going to compete. Everybody competes in camp. That doesn't mean that they're the starter. Okay. All the Browns did with this move was say, hey, Kenny Pickett's better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That's it. Let me ask you guys. Our first 2 quarterbacks get hurt, whoever those 2 are this year. Would you rather have Kenny Pickett or DTR?
I think you forgot to say when. Kenny Pickett, please.
Yeah.
Nah. Listen. Chad, 100%. You did make a video on this today, and you put it on Twitter and TikTok and all that. 100%. Calm down. I don't know why everybody is acting like they went and signed Kenny Pickett to be their starting quarterback. Everybody's like, well, they traded a 5th-round pick to get him, so that means they probably are relying on him for. That was a 5th-round pick they got in a trade. That was the Zadarius Smith pick. And I don't know if you guys know this, and I don't know why people don't understand this. The Browns have like 11 or 12 picks. Now I think they're down to 10 after that deal. There's not room for that many players. So they include a 5th-round pick that is by the time you're in the 5th round, I think you have an 8% chance of being like a meaningful player on a football team anyways. And you bring in a guy with a little bit of experience, a guy that's familiar with the AFC North, familiar with the brand of football that gets played here. He's never been very good, and that's okay because I'm with you, Chad, 100%. I always was cool with them keeping DTR because it's a long-term project with DTR. But in the end, DTR in his career has thrown 1 touchdown to 10 interceptions. That's DTR's numbers. And listen, not all of that is his fault. he got thrown into a Ravens game like 42 minutes before the game started. Not all that is his fault. But I'm cool with Kenny Pickett. I'm cool with him as a depth option on this team. I'm okay. Kenny Pickett can play a good football. We have seen Kenny Pickett play a good football game. And so it's there. And I think there's part of the conversation that says, hey, yes, he's a depth guy, but he's a guy that comes from two good organizations. And he's a guy that went to Philadelphia and was a part of a team that won a Super Bowl. That doesn't translate. Juan Thornhill won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He wasn't any good here. But, like, there's just a level of experience after just a couple of years in the league with this dude where it's like, hey, if it got down to our third string guy, we're cool with Kenny Pickett being the guy that comes in. I think, honestly, if we're looking at him as a third string guy, people aren't going to like this in Cleveland. I think, honestly, if I'm looking at Kenny Pickett as a third string guy, he's probably one of the better ones in the league. I know.
Second?
I'm sorry.
Who's second?
What did you say?
I know. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the same argument I was making when people were screaming about Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Because I said this offseason, I said, just leave DTR in the room. He can be your third string guy. If you get down to your third string quarterback, you're going to lose a lot of games. I don't know why that's hard for people to understand.
If you get down to your third string guy, your season is fucked anyway.
Correct. Your season is over. And people act like the Joe Flacco situation just happens all the time. It's just frequent. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
That situation with Joe Flacco was lightning in a bottle.
Right.
With Kenny Pickett, if you get down to him, you're probably going to lose a lot of games. But I think Kenny Pickett, of all the guys that, if we're going to start listing third string quarterbacks in the league, Kenny probably gives you as good of a chance to win a game as a lot of them do. So we're cool with it. We're cool with it.
But is he going to be the third string?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Yes.
Whichever rookie they bring in, and Russell
They're
Wilson.
going to bring in two more quarterbacks. They have to bring in two more quarterbacks.
Right.
But you think they're going to bring in one? They don't have any money left.
They have enough money. They're good on money.
They don't have any money.
They're good on money.
They have $10 million in cap space. I mean, they can restructure things, but
you're also not like, okay, so
I can't tell if you're bullshitting, Joe, or if you're being serious right now.
I mean, where are they going to get the money from? I know they got money.
Listen, they don't have just a boatload of cap space, but you also have to understand what they're probably looking at here. They're probably looking at, we know what they're looking at. The Cleveland Browns are waiting out Kirk Cousins. That's what's happening right now.
Right.
But you need 7 new offensive linemen.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Cornelius Lucas. Where have you been, Joe?
Yeah, where have you been? They got a tackle.
Yeah. Oh shit. I don't know.
I couldn't tell whether you're being serious. I couldn't tell whether I should yell at you or laugh at you.
But this is what I keep seeing. And Chris, Chris says in the comments, but giving up a 5th round pick for a third string quarterback? Yes.
You're not going to get a better one in the draft.
You have 10 or 11 picks in this draft. You do not have room for that many people. You don't have room. And this is a 5th round pick, maybe hits, maybe doesn't. Kenny Pickett can be a halfway decent one or two games. If you need him, he can give you a shot. I agree with Paramjot here. It's a 5th round pick. I agree with this. I know people that we work with the OBR would hate this phrase, but I'm with you. If you can get a guy that you're like, well, it's either we get Kenny Pickett as a 3rd string guy, or we spend a 5th round pick on Riley Leonard, I'll take Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
it.
No
doubt.
So Kenny Pickett is the man in the room, but let's talk about what appears to be the strategy for the Cleveland Browns moving forward. And the strategy for the Cleveland Browns moving forward appears to be, You can't do this. Sorry, Chris. I'm arguing with Chris Roscoe in the comments. We traded a fifth for Amari Cooper. Yeah. That's its
and now
own
it's Kenny
trade.
Pickett.
It's not. It's its own trade. And I don't know. You can't just say like, oh, you got Amari Cooper for a fifth, so you should be able to get like a legit number one wide receiver for a fifth. That's not how it works.
It's a hindsight. Yeah.
There's two teams that have to make trades. And it has to be acceptable on both sides. So you can't play it like that. So here's what appears to be the strategy moving forward from what at least we are hearing. And I think it's a little bit dangerous because we don't know what's going to happen. But
I see what you did there.
we know the Atlanta Falcons. Ooh, well, hold on. We'll get to that. We know the Atlanta Falcons want to play Michael Penix. And we know the Atlanta Falcons are not going to pay Kirk Cousins $39 million to watch Michael Penix play football.
Right.
We know that's the case. This is very much the same conversation, and Jack Duffin has said it too. This is very much the same conversation we had with Myles Garrett. They're not this. Follow the money. Understand the money. The Falcons aren't going to do that. So it appears right now as the Cleveland Browns are waiting out the situation with Atlanta and Kirk Cousins to resolve itself. And then it very much appears like Kevin Stefanski wants Kirk Cousins to start for the team this year. So I don't know how long it's going to take for that to resolve. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know that it even will resolve because part of the dangerous part of that is, well, who knows what's going to happen. But it very much seems like that's what kind of the direction we are heading is. So assuming that's the direction they go, now you're at Kirk Cousins, you're at Kenny Pickett, and you're at a draft pick. I'm sorry. I'm good. We're good. I'm good with that. Let's go. Let's roll into the season with that. I'm feeling really good about life.
Yeah. Kirk and Stefanski would be some magic.
That's assuming that you get him.
And this is here. And this is, Spear needs to see this, and this is for you, Joe. It's also a great situation. He calls it the best situation. It's a great situation because you don't have to pay Kirk more than the veterans minimum.
Right.
Because of his contract situation with Atlanta.
Yeah. It's a Russell Wilson situation, like how the Steelers only had to pay him $1 million.
Correct.
How about Atlanta just being able to make like, I don't know, only like the 5th worst quarterback signing of all time because Broncos number 2. Browns, like they'll never overshadow those contracts that we've done. So it's kind of like, it's not that bad. Like if I was a Falcons fan, I'd be like, well, it wasn't a Deshaun signing. Kind of sucks, but like it'll work out.
No, it does. It does. Yeah. But I don't know. It's all the reports with the Browns when it comes to quarterback they are making several moves in that room this year. They're going to tell Deshaun Watson to stay home. And they're going to use his second Achilles tear as an excuse to say he's out for the full year, which is great. They'll recoup some of that money on insurance. We don't even know how much that'll be at this point. But there's going to be 3 brand new quarterbacks in that room. And I got to tell you, I don't know what's going to hit, boys. I don't know what's not going to hit. But when we sit here and we talk about Andrew Berry and the way he's building a roster, this is what I want to see. Your quarterback room was fucked last year.
Oh, yeah.
Complete foobar, no going back.
Right.
They got rid of everybody.
Right.
You might like Jameis Winston. I like Jameis Winston. I would like to hang out with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I would like to be friends with Jameis Winston. He seems like a good dude. They said he's not good enough. DTR's not good enough. God knows, Deshaun Watson, we never want to even see this dude again. Everybody's gone. We're going to build this room from scratch. I like that. I think Andrew Berry, depending on how it works, or regardless of how it works, to be honest with you. Now, if it doesn't work because he brings the wrong guys in, that sucks. But this move in and of itself is the right move.
Yes. The clearing out the room is the right move. Jury's out on whether he's getting the right guys, but like you cannot knock him for making moves in that room.
Yeah. At least he's trying. I mean, if and again, I told you guys, I've never been more open-minded when it comes to what veterans that we do bring in. Like, I mean, if it ends up being Cousins, great. We'll see if he has anything left. right? If it ends up being dangerous, fine, right? Because this is just all these vets is just a transition until a bridge, a stopgap, until Cam or Shedeur or whoever the hell we do draft is ready. So I am way more open-minded, and the caveat to that, if Kirk comes in, if Russell comes in and lights the world on fire, great.
Do it. Go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? It's just, but outside of that, like whatever vets they do bring in, and people need to keep this in mind, it's not the quarterback of the future for the Browns. All right, they just need someone with experience and someone serviceable, and any one of these quarterbacks right now that are left on the board are exactly that. They're not going to set the world on fire. They're not your franchise quarterback, but you know what? They're going to be serviceable until the rookie that we draft is going to be ready.
So I'm going to give you guys the situation I want to have happen, the exact situation I want to have happen at quarterback, and then I want to hear what you guys want.
Okay.
Here's the exact situation I want at quarterback. Kenny Pickett's your third string. Love that. That's great. Fine. Great. Kirk Cousins. And I'm going to be really honest with you. People are going to hate this too. If they sign Russell Wilson, I'm 100,000% great with that. If they sign him to play this year, I'm 100%. Russell Wilson can step in and play a Kevin Stefanski offense, and I think he could probably play it beautifully. So I'm 100% good with Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins coming in here and playing. And I know people hate it. I know people hate kind of both of those guys, to be honest with you, because they're not elite level quarterbacks anymore. But man, I'm good with those. And then here's my ultimate thing. I would love for Tennessee to not take care of their quarterback in this offseason. I'd love for them. I know there's rumors of them liking Carson Wentz. That's great. That doesn't mean they're not going to draft the quarterback, though. So maybe they sign Carson Wentz. That's fine. I am desperate for the Tennessee Titans to take Cam Ward at number 1. I'm desperate for the Cleveland Browns to take Abdul Carter at number 2. And I'm desperate for the Cleveland Browns to package maybe their 4th round pick and 33 to jump back up into the first round and grab Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. That's what I want the quarterback room to be. Kirk or Russ Wilson, Jackson Dart, and Kenny Pickett. And I want to roll into the season with that. And I think you do have Jackson Dart, to me, the more I am going through this and the more I am reading and learning and watching and all this and doing these mock drafts for the OBR and writing and all that stuff, the more I'm doing this, the more I feel like Jackson Dart is this year's version of, I'm not saying he's going to be equivalent. I'm not saying he's even the same type of player, but I'm going to explain myself. I think he's like Josh Allen. He's the guy coming out of college that you're not really sure. You know, he's got all the physical traits, but you're not really sure if he's like going to be able to put it all together. That was Josh Allen in 2018. That's why he didn't go number 1 overall, because he had all the physical traits, but it was like, can this guy out of Wyoming put it all together? I think that's what Jackson Dart is. And I think if you can get him to put it all together, I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. That's what I want to see. What do you guys want to see?
Sidebar.
Best last name.
Yeah, great name. Super name. Let's just throw in darts.
Oh, can you imagine the calls on that?
Oh, 100%. Just
Siciliano would just lose his shit.
Yeah, it's a dart to Judy. Dart to Judy. I don't know. Something like that.
Hold on. I want to pause here. Because I love Chef Brian K. He's here every week, but Chef, I couldn't disagree with you more, man. Again, Joe Flacco was lightning in a bottle. He was lightning in a bottle. All the things that could have went right for Joe Flacco went right, but he also led the league in interceptions during his time. And he threw pick sixes every game. And yes, he was fun. And yes, it was a blast. And there's no taking that back. I do not want Joe Flacco back. I don't. He's good. We had the lightning in the bottle moment. We're done. I can't. I can't with this anymore. Anyways, go ahead, Jed.
Sidebar. So this might be a Jack Duffin question, but if anyone who signs Russ, can they do that for the vet minimum again? Because isn't Denver still paying him, or no? Would you have to pay him a starter's salary?
Oh, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
So I think it's 1 more year for Russ.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the vets are totally fine with me. And you know what? In this quarterback class, with there being no surefire, like number 1, like you got to get this guy. Sure, I'll take Dart. I'll take Dart. I don't think there's that much of a difference between him, Dart, and Ward, or him, Shedeur, and Ward.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the gap is that big. Call me crazy, but that sounds good to me. But I'm also not going to be like, if they take Cam or if they take Shedeur, I'm also going to be like, okay, let's roll, guys, let's go. But I love the idea of Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter on the other side of him. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I know we have no idea. It's the greatest mystery of 2024, and it will be the greatest mystery of 2025. But Abdul Carter, Myles Garrett, and JOK in the same front seven, unreal. But yeah, sure. Again, I've never been more open-minded about the Browns quarterback situation. So, Shedeur, Cam, Jackson Dart. I will say this though, I want one of those three. I don't want to wait till the third round, fourth round to get like a Will Howard or something like that. No, I want one of those three. So as long as you come away with one of those three, I'll be happy.
Okay, one last thought exercise. I put this out there before, and then it got lost because it happened like right as a signing happened. But I want to do one more thing with quarterback, and then we're going to quick hit the rest of what's happened with the Browns. So here's what I want to do. Chad, Joey. I want to take that top four from 2018, the last time the Browns had the number one pick, or one of the top picks to get a quarterback, right? Take the top four quarterbacks. At the time, it was Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. I want you to put Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders in there. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Don't think about what you know about these guys now. Please don't. We know Josh Rosen fizzled out. He was terrible. We know Josh Allen's an MVP. We're also not including like Lamar Jackson because he wasn't part of that conversation. I just want to do those. Those six players. The four from 2018 that were expected to go in like the top 10, and the two in 25 now that are expected to go in the top 10. And I want to know if we were to do pre-draft rankings on all of them. Pre-draft, before you knew what they were going to do in the pros. Pre-draft. Where do these guys rank? Where does Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders rank in amongst Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen and Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold?
Say that again. I wasn't paying attention to you. I never do. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth.
Go ahead, Joey.
Hold on, Brad likes our backgrounds, and I love that for us.
Baker.
Ooh.
Darnold. Cam Ward.
Ooh.
Rosen, Allen, Shedeur. I think that's it.
You got them all. Yeah. So Baker, Darnold, Cam Ward,
Josh Allen,
Rosen, Allen, Shedeur. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. Chad, give me your list.
Okay. I'm going to go with Baker, Cam, Allen. Baker, Cam, Allen.
It's a lot of names.
Who else is back? God, who am I missing?
Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, and Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur, Darnold, and Rosen.
It's a hard exercise because it's hard to not look at those four guys from 2018 and then rank them. I think everybody really sells short Josh Rosen. Everybody thought Josh Rosen was the safe pick in 2018. He was the safe guy.
Yeah, he was still third on that list though.
And you got to think that was 7 years ago too, because I'm trying to think back of how they were in college, and like Rosen was pretty good.
Oh, I know. He was the safe guy. He was the guy that was like, if you get Josh Rosen, you're safe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like, if I remember back, man.
P.S. Holy shit, that was 7 years ago. Fuck, we're old. Anyway.
I know, that's wild. In my head, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about the way we're talking about these guys now, and I'm thinking of those guys. And in my head, I went Darnold. I think Darnold was the guy everybody fell in love with through that draft process. Darnold. I think overwhelmingly maybe Allen next. I know everybody had questions about Allen, but it was like, guys, this guy's a freak. So if he can just learn how to play, he's going to be great. Darnold, Allen, Baker, Cam Ward, and then Rosen, I think is right there. Everybody thought he was safe. And Shedeur. Like, I guess the point of the thought process is, here's what's hard for me about these top two guys in the draft this year. Here's this 2018 top four that you've got a guy like Baker he's turned himself into a pretty good NFL starting quarterback. That's what Baker is. I don't think a lot of people think Baker's going to lead a team to the playoffs. To the Super Bowl. If Baker wins the Super Bowl, it's going to be because he's on a team that just is stacked everywhere around him. You've got Sam Darnold, that it took him 7 years to find his way in the league. You've got Josh Rosen, who was awful forever. Josh Allen's an MVP. I guess the point of this is I'm very uncomfortable with the top two guys in this draft. I'm very uncomfortable with them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I would put either one of these guys above those guys in 2018. And man, one was a big hit. And that's it. And I don't mean to throw shade at Baker. He's a pretty good player. I don't want a pretty good player at number 2.
He's a really good player. But point taken.
Baker's pretty good.
If we're going by how they were in college, and so just forget what they are now. We're going by how they were in college. The only two people I think I would put Cam and Shedeur possibly ahead of is Rosen, because he was the safe pick, but safe pick doesn't mean he's a franchise changer. I would put him ahead of Rosen.
Feels a lot like Shedeur, by the way. Everybody talks about Shedeur.
I would put him ahead of Rosen, and I would put him ahead of Josh Allen. Because remember, Josh Allen coming out of college, everybody thought he was just incredibly raw. Nobody thought that he was a franchise changer, but he had all the tools. So those are the only two I would put ahead of those. That's it, though.
All right, so lots of quarterback conversation. I want to do a couple quick hitters. The Browns informed Dalvin Tomlinson that they are moving on from Dalvin Tomlinson.
Okay.
So
you go.
A little bit of a hole,
sure.
But it creates more immediate cap space for the Cleveland Browns that they will be able to use in signings.
Yeah, because that money will just go till later, right? Because he's a post June 1st, right? So that money doesn't technically come off till after that, right?
No, I think he's an immediate.
Oh, nice. All right, sweet.
Yeah, I think Dalvin's an immediate, and I think they can spend that money right away.
Okay, all right.
So that's nice. But Dalvin was a solid player on that defensive line. So I think it says that they are happy with the guys that they have on that defensive line, the young guys. But I think it also is an area that we could probably look to see the Browns improve. The Browns also signed Cornelius Lucas that we talked about, the offensive lineman, most recently with Washington. Obviously, Washington makes that huge trade with Houston, and so Cornelius Lucas becomes expendable. I loved that move for the Browns.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's my favorite move so far that they made.
Yes, DeJuan Jones is unproven. I know we love him here, but he is unproven. And we all know about Jack Conklin. He was healthy pretty much all year last year, which was nice. But we know about the health history with Conklin. So I love Cornelius Lucas. It's kind of a swing tackle.
Yeah.
What the Browns do today, they re-signed Devin Bush, which I think is fine.
Meh.
Do you know Devin Bush ranked amongst all linebackers? Do you know Devin Bush ranked 8th in the NFL against the run last year?
What? Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
That's great.
8th among all linebackers who played 50 plays, right?
No, Devin Bush played a bunch of plays last year.
I know.
I think that's great.
No, it's good. It's great.
Listen, depth I think is good, and I don't think the linebacker position is one that they're going to spend a ton of time on, especially if they feel like JOK is going to be fine.
I kind of love. I tell you what, I kind of love that Joe Tryon Troyrinka signing that they made. However the hell you say his last name.
Yep, Joe Tryon Swarinka.
You know who he has all over? Like he has Tack McKinley written all over me. Not like all over him for me. Not
all
like
over him. All over you.
That's what I meant. Nailed it. Not in terms asshole. Not in terms of like the same player or anything, but I'm talking like production, like how he kind of thrived in that like third man like rusher role. Tack McKinley did for us. So like I really like that signing.
Listen, the wildest physical, like if you look at his RAS score from when he was drafted, it's the wildest numbers you've ever. The guy's a freak athletically.
Yeah.
Just is never really, he's a first round draft pick. I feel like right now, so far this offseason is the offseason of reclamation first round draft picks for the Cleveland Browns. But man, if he's just one of those guys that just took a little longer to develop into his career, that could be a great signing for the Browns as well. Yeah, otherwise, what am I missing? What am I missing for the Browns? They haven't added anybody else. Who else have they lost? I don't remember. Random guys, but that's fine. But yeah, it's off to a start, and we're gonna see what the Browns do. Again, I think there's more quarterback news coming, and again, they still have other areas to address, and we'll see how they decide to do that, both in free agency and then again, we're only a month and a half away from the NFL draft, which is unbelievable to think about. Anything else before we get off of football, because we're already at 10-11. Anything else happen in the NFL over the last 2 days that really caught your eye?
Listen, two things for me. As a Bears fan, I can't help but love what the hell they did. Just solidifying the interior of that offensive line for Caleb.
And defense.
And defense as well. I mean, you signed Grady Jarrett as soon as Atlanta gets him. Like they had all the money in the world to spend, and they spent it wisely. So I'm super. As a Bears fan, I'm super, super excited about what they did. And then the other one, I mean, how could you not love what the Vikings did along their defensive front, man? Like Javon Hargrave, I know he was a little bit of a disappointment in San Francisco, but he still has a lot of ability. Then Jonathan Allen, you pair him with Danielle Hunter. I don't know who the guy is on the other side of them, but that defensive line, those 3 out of those 4 defensive line are absolute studs. So, yeah, for me, the Vikings and Bears, what the Vikings and Bears did, I was very, very impressed with.
Yeah, I think there's some wild things. Again, that NFC West to me is wild. The San Francisco 49ers just basically getting rid of everybody. Everybody is going from the 49ers. Deebo Samuel is a Pittsburgh Steeler. Brandon Ayuk is in trade talks. I know that there's some random NFL rumors thing that's like the Browns and 49ers until somebody like worth their nuts is reporting that. Let's not believe that, please. But yeah, a lot of guys going from San Francisco. The one for me as a Browns fan, and maybe this is me being a homer, Chad, but the Browns are going to want to kind of we know that the Browns want to kind of upgrade the tight end position. And maybe this doesn't quite fit in, but maybe like on a side note, it does. Bring Kyle Juszczyk home. Bring him home. Bring him to Papa.
Yeah.
Yes. And here's why. Is he a tight end? No, he's listed as a fullback. Does he kind of play like a tight end? Yes. He is a receiver. He is a pass catcher. Kyle Juszczyk. Hey, we know Kevin Stefanski likes to use fullbacks. What's the damn Italian guy he brought in last year that never really played? But he likes to use fullbacks. Give me Kyle Juszczyk. Bring him home. He went to Cloverleaf High School. He's from here. And I would love to see. He's a weapon. He plays like a tight end at the fullback position. I would take that. I think he's like my number one target right now for the Cleveland Browns. I would love to see them make that move.
I mean, he's a hybrid. The man's never really had a particular position his entire NFL career. So yeah, obviously you bring him in and find ways to use him.
But between the Niners doing that and then the Seahawks, I mean, Geno Smith is now a Raider. DK Metcalf is gone.
Hell?
Tyler Lockett gone.
Yeah.
And then you signed Sam Darnold.
No, where did Debo go? I said that wrong. Where
Washington. Debo is in Washington.
He was in Washington. That's right. DK is in Pittsburgh.
And how
Tyler Lockett's gone.
how could you not like what the Commanders did too? I mean, they're going for it with a rookie on a rookie contract. They're going all in.
Yeah. As they should. As they
I've
should.
seen enough.
For sure.
He's great.
And I agree with Rissa Bear here, which is Gregory, by the way. You kind of gotta like what Pittsburgh has done. Pittsburgh,
they're not sneaky good. They'll be real good. Good.
They're not going to find a decent quarterback though.
Well, we know who that quarterback is going to be.
Right.
They let Justin Fields walk. Justin Fields went to the Jets, which I think is a fine move for the Jets, I guess. But all indications are Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh are on a crash course. So I guess we'll see. Aaron Rodgers is that guy everybody loves to act like he's going to be terrible, but he had a really good back half of the year last year coming off that injury. So
Myles Garrett will have some fun with him.
I hope so. I would love to see that. Yeah, so there's just a lot. There's so much still up in the air, but I agree with you, Chad. I think the Bears, I think the Commanders. I really think a lot of the NFC teams, because the NFC is just every year. You've got the Lions; they're going to be good again, but it feels like every year the NFC is just going to be wide open.
Yeah, for sure.
And so these teams are just going for it, and I love that. I love that
for sure.
All right, so we are way beyond halfway, but we've got some quick hitters we're still going to do. So in the middle of the show, which is almost the end of the show, let's do our assholes of the week.
Oh shit!
I already did mine, and it's the creator of these hats. Chad, who's your asshole of the week?
My asshole of the week's Angel Reese. And now listen, it's not for the reason you might think it is, right? Like, I want to say this before I want to preface this by saying, listen, I'm all for the progression of women's sports, right? Do whatever you got to. They deserve more attention. They deserve more money. They deserve everything. I just think Angel Reese is the wrong person to be advocating for it. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe stop throwing inbounds passes off the back of the fucking backboards. I don't know. Maybe make a layup. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Most of your rebounds come off of your own missed layups. She sucks a whole butt at basketball. That's why I think literally anybody else in the WNBA should be the voice. Listen, at the same time I appreciate that she's a voice. But if I'm a little girl like looking at these WNBA players, and I'm like looking to a player to like model after. Like Angel Reese, like you're missing layups, right? You're throwing inbounds passes off the back of backboards. Like you're not someone I'm looking up to for your play in basketball. So I just think she's the wrong advocate, and she saying things like, "Oh, we need to get paid more, or we sit." Like bitch, your walk does not match your talk. Like, I guess that's what I'm saying is, well, once your walk starts matching your talk, then, I don't know, then start advocating for more pay. Until then, somebody else needs to do it in the WNBA for sure. That's my asshole.
She does have that McDonald's special though.
Oh yeah. It's great. Like I could make that on my own. I could.
I think the whole, man, that whole situation with Caitlin Clark, I think, was so unfortunate. And the whole everybody like making Angel Reese the person you should root for instead of Caitlin Clark, and people that didn't want you to root for Caitlin Clark and they wanted you to root for Angel Reese. I think it was so unfortunate because, in fairness, like, yes, Angel Reese makes bonehead plays out on the court. But she also, like, look at some of those stat lines. Like, Angel Reese is out there putting up, like, 22 and 20. Like, she also she is good at basketball. She is, I don't know, what's the equivalent? What's the equivalent of somebody that's really good at a sport, but also just makes the most boneheaded plays you've ever seen at the same time?
Smith.
Maybe.
Does J.R. Smith miss like 40 shots a game and like gets his own rebounds, and that's why he gets his stats padded?
Yeah, but she's still doing it. But she's still doing it. She's still doing it. Angel Reese doesn't suck at basketball, but like your point is good. The situation around it sucks. Like it didn't have to be one or the other, but she very firmly inserted herself into that as like, you should root for me instead of Caitlin Clark. And if she would have never done that, she would have been a much more easy to root for face of the WNBA. I agree with that. Joe, what's your asshole of the week?
Give me the NHL for just some disgusting trade deadline moves.
Oh, right.
The first one you probably won't like, Mike, but Mika Rantanen to the Stars. Oh,
Yeah, what?
That made me want to throw up.
Of
Absolutely
course.
throw up. One, the Stars are just so good, and they're like literally. If you're not familiar with the NHL, like if you could build like the Monstars for the playoffs, it'd be the Dallas Stars because they're so physical. They can go so deep in series. Like they are a great playoff team, and Mika Rantanen is a great addition for them, and I hate that.
Joe, not to be outdone though, how about the defending Stanley Cup champions?
Well, that's the second one. Brad Marchand to the Panthers. Oh, and poor guy was like rightfully crying at a press conference because like he did not want to be dealt. Like he was a Bruin for life. Yeah, and like I feel really bad for him. I've never had anything against Marchand, but like him on the Panthers feels gross. With him,
hate him.
You got Matthew Tkachuk over there. Like, oh, it's just a dirty team down there.
Yep, 100%. All right, those are our assholes of the week, and we're going to stick on that topic for a minute. But I do want to get to Param Jot has an asshole of the week, Anthony Edwards, which he says maybe you stop having kids if you don't want to pay child support. That's a great coming from understanding that background. I'll just say 100%. Gregory's got an asshole of the week. People that can't make deadlines, do your fucking job on time and make it happen. All right. Hey,
Angel Reese averages 13 and 13 and shoots 39% from the field. She sucks.
Make it happen, party in extreme.
Shut up. Hold on. Corporate Gregory's in the house. Corporate Gregory wants to know where the fuck your TPS reports are. He wants them on his desk right now. All right.
Wait, what?
All right.
Wait, what?
Yeah, maybe pay attention, Chad. Quit looking up Angel Reese stats.
Wait, what? I don't know. Where are you fucking seeing that?
It's on the screen currently under the asshose hat.
No, I see Risa Bear. That's all I see is Risa Bear.
That's Gregory. That's Gregory.
Oh.
Anyways, those are our assholes of the week. All right, let's stay on it for some quick hitters, and then we'll get out of here. Go back to the NHL trade deadline.
Yeah.
What we learned, what we know. Let's start with the Jackets. Chad, hit us off with this. The Jackets just made one move. Not the biggest move in the world, but I think a move that makes them deeper for sure. So why don't you start us off, Chad, with the NHL trade deadline?
You basically replace two Monsters players with two experienced NHL forwards to put on the third and fourth line, and Luke Kunin and Christian Fischer. Yeah, the Jackets picked up Christian Fischer from the Detroit Red Wings off of waivers, and they traded a fourth-round pick for Luke Kunin. So essentially, you got two experienced forwards to add to your depth for a fourth-round pick, and that's exactly what the type of trade I was talking about that the Jackets needed to make. What?
Can we real quick talk about Kunin dropping the gloves game one against the Rangers?
Yeah.
Defending a teammate?
Yeah.
Like, is there any way to endear yourself to a locker room more than that?
No. And part of it is he's known for his toughness too. So, I mean, that wasn't a shock. So yeah, it's good things that you want to see from that third and fourth line. Yeah. So those are the two trades, and and that's everything that we talked about when it came to the trade deadline for the Jackets. If they were going to make a trade, it was going to be the perfect type of trade for some sort of experience and depth. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what Don Waddell has done. Don Waddell has not done nothing but stick to his word when it comes to this team, and it's paid off.
Anywhere else along the trade deadline, boys, that caught your attention, or just anything else going on there?
I think the Lightning made some good moves, bringing in Yanni Gordon, Olivier Borgstrand. I think that was a really good trade around out their team. Good for Seattle.
Why is the hockey capital of the world right now Florida?
I hate it.
What is happening? Do you know how many Stanley Cups has the state of Florida won over the last decade? It's outrageous.
It's insane. Like, they are the hockey capital of the world.
I know most of that is Tampa, but now Florida's in on the mix.
Florida's in.
And Florida looks primed to repeat, man. They just suffocate you in the neutral zone and into their defensive zone. They just suffocate you. So yeah, I mean, and that's exactly, they've won. The Jackets have lost 3 of the last 4, 2 of those to those Florida teams, and it was just the Jackets played a bad game tonight, but those Florida teams are just far superior to the Jackets, and that just showed you how far away the Jackets are. They're not super far away, but from being elite, they still have some work to do. Unreal, and I fully expect Florida to win again this year.
I know we're not changing anything major with the Jackets this year, but gotta address goalie at one point or another.
Yeah,
I'm still not sold on Elvis. It's not this season, but man, I just don't think that's it. I don't think that's the guy that's going to be able to take you deep in the playoffs. And this team is trending towards being a playoff caliber team.
I think we got to see him in the playoffs more. I think that is the first step. I know there's been a few down games for Elvis this year, but for the most part, man, Elvis has been awesome.
There's been games where Elvis has saved the Jackets,
but it's the basic shit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? Chad, you and I talked about this. We were at the Stadium Series game last Saturday, and we talked about this. The difference in Elvis isn't whether he makes the save or not, because he's always been pretty good at making the initial save. Right. What he's been bad at when he struggles is he lets that rebound trickle right out in front of the net, and it gets put back, and you got a goal, and it's easy. We saw it in that Stadium Series game. Chad, every freaking rebound just went off to the sideboards. If there was a rebound, he directed it away from everybody. It's been such a difference with this dude this year, and it makes him so much better because he's always been good at that initial deflection. Always.
Right.
But not letting those soft rebounds. He so rarely this year allows a soft rebound that it is different. So, Joe, I think they need to work on depth. I don't know if I think Tarasov's the guy that's going to lead them, going to be a really good second guy. You still have Jet Greaves in the system, which I think is probably the guy they want to develop there. But Elvis has made me change my tune. I'd love to see him. I hope they get into the playoffs, because I would love to see Elvis in a playoff series.
I would too. And I think this would be a good year for a litmus test that they can work their way in.
It's going to be a chance for him to prove himself for sure.
Yeah.
Prove for real, prove himself.
Yeah. Well, you're contending for a wild card spot. Playoffs start a lot earlier for those teams.
Yeah. I'm currently watching because the Jackets lost tonight to the Devils 5-3, but I'm currently watching Winnipeg and the Rangers, because the Rangers are the immediate threat to that Jackets second wild card spot. Currently losing 2-1 in the third period to the Jets.
Let's go.
So hopefully Winnipeg holds on.
That's a good.
It's all playoffs from here on out. If you want to know the standings, all of a sudden the Jackets find themselves 3 games out of wild card 1. When we left the Stadium Series, they were firmly entrenched in wild card 1. Now they find themselves 3 points out of wild card 1, but they are in wild card 2. But the Rangers are within 2 points. The Boston Bruins are within 2 points. The Canadiens are within 4 points. The Red Wings are within 4 points. The Islanders are within 5 points. All those teams are within 5 points. And yet at the same time, the Jackets are still within 6 points of the Devils.
Yeah, right.
This was a huge game. That's a 4-point swing. If the Jackets would have won this game tonight, they would have been within 2 points of the Devils.
Right.
Which would have been unbelievable. But this playoff, the playoffs they have started in the NHL. They have started. It's going.
Yeah, it's going to be every game from here on out. It's so much fun. It's going to be so critical for the Jackets. But luckily, they've scored the most goals in Nationwide Arena. They've scored the most goals at home in the NHL this year, and luckily they get to go back home for the first time in about 16 days. So, and they've got 11 of their
games.
Yeah, and they've got 11 of their last 18 games are at home. So here we go. Let's go. Yeah,
but it is a freaking gauntlet.
Let's clinch that.
Golden Knights on Thursday.
Yeah,
the Rangers on Saturday. The Devils on Monday of next week. And then the Panthers come to town on Thursday. So it's a gauntlet.
Third
but
toughest
man, play
schedule.
well at home.
Third toughest schedule left.
Yep. Okay. Let's move off of hockey for a little bit. We got to celebrate. We got to celebrate the Cavaliers. This Cavaliers team. I was full ready to talk about how in the NBA, Cavaliers have been on this 14-game winning streak. And I was full well ready to talk about this was the game that I'm cool with ending the streak. You don't play Donovan Mitchell. You're playing Brooklyn. They're a nobody team. It doesn't matter. You don't play Ty Jerome or DeAndre Hunter, which, by the way, that Virginia chemistry has erupted right off the bat. It's been awesome. We didn't talk enough about that when they made that trade. But the fact that Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter were like best friends and also college basketball champions at Virginia, it has meshed so beautifully on the bench for the Cavaliers. And I thought, well, they didn't play those three guys. Those are three of their top 7 players. If you're going to lose a game, go ahead and lose this one to the Nets. I don't want to lose to a contender. I don't want to lose to Milwaukee. I don't want to lose to the Knicks. I don't want to lose to Boston. I don't want to lose to the Nets can just get us on a night when we're resting players. And the Cavaliers were down big in this game against the Nets. And they did what they've done so many times recently. They erased that deficit. Darius Garland scored 18 points in the fourth quarter of the game tonight. And the Cavaliers come back and beat the Nets. The win streak is at 15.
Listen, I know they're resting players, but I kind of hate the trend that the Cavs are on right now. Whether they're at full strength or they're not at full strength, I know this is probably going to be different in the playoffs, and it's most likely going to be different in the playoffs. But I don't like this trend that they're on right now, not being able to hold leads, getting out to big leads, having to come back all the time. I don't like it down the home stretch here. Like, I would rather have them go through this type of stuff at the middle of the season. But I mean, as long as they can maintain this in the playoffs, I'm fine, which I think they can. But yeah, this trend, maybe it's not that I don't like it. I'm just uncomfortable with it. But I get it as far as the whole resting of players before the postseason, yada yada yada. But yeah, that's I'm uncomfortable with it. But I'm so glad they got to 15 wins. Hopefully they can get to 16.
Here's what I would say to your point there, because I don't disagree with it. But what I would say to your point there, Chad, is it would really bother me if they were playing these dudes big minutes. But they're not. They haven't changed the minute distribution all year. Again, the Cavaliers still have one of the lowest starters minutes played all season. So Kenny Atkinson and his staff are still just distributing minutes. The guys are still playing the same amount of minutes they usually do. They're not overextending guys like Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland or Jared Allen or Evan Mobley. They're still using their bench. They're still going deep. So they're still at a point where they're not changing the way they're playing just because of the way things are going. And I love that. They're not overexerting themselves. And so we've seen it. The month of January, they lost 5 or 6 games in the month of January, and that's a team that's only lost 10 games all season. So you're going to go through a long season. You're going to go through stretches where you aren't playing your best basketball. And I think you're right, Chad. Maybe they're not playing their absolute best basketball right now, which is ridiculous to say because they're on a 15-game winning streak.
Right.
But I would be much more nervous if they were overreacting to the fact that they've had to erase deficits, the fact that they've lost some deficits, which really was only one game. I think it was that game against Charlotte where they got out to a big lead and then lost it. Otherwise, they haven't really lost any leads.
Yeah.
But again, they're perfect on the season. When they go into the fourth quarter with the lead, they're perfect.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable stat in March.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just a dangerous way to play, especially going into the playoffs. But if they get it straightened out, if we're all good, like maybe they can make me feel better come end of this month into April. But yeah, to me, it's just a dangerous way to play. But as long as they keep winning, who gives a shit?
Well, we also still have 17 games left of the regular season. So
Jesus Christ.
Plenty of time. I do want to give a real quick congrats to the Cavaliers. With their win tonight against Brooklyn, they have officially won the Central Division. They are officially a top 4 seed in the NBA, which that's not all that exciting because we knew that was going to be. But when you look at the conference right now, with 17 games left, the Cavaliers have an 8-game lead on the Boston Celtics. They're going to be the 1 seed in the NBA playoff, in the Eastern Conference playoffs, and frankly, probably in the NBA in total. They're 2 games up on Oklahoma City with the record now, which is wild that there's another team doing this. But the Cavaliers are going to be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So now what you hope is that these guys have learned from years past. What you hope is that these guys learned from that battle of a series they had last year against Orlando, and the way they got treated against Boston last year, and they don't go into the playoffs feeling themselves too much. Yeah, you're the 1 seed, but the work isn't done. And I have a lot of confidence in this Cavs team to do that. I have a lot of confidence in them to do that. So big shout out to the Cavaliers. We are at March 11th, guys. We're at March 11th, and they have locked up their division title. We got to see what they do in the playoffs, but nothing will negate how much fun. Chad, you've talked about it a million times. As a guy who doesn't get into the NBA a ton, it's one of the most fun things I have ever watched. This regular season, I will never take for granted. So far, it's been 65 games of nothing but fun. Nothing but fun.
People are going to think I'm crazy, but I mean, and I've talked about this at length, and I'm beating a dead horse here, but I enjoy watching this team more than I've watched any LeBron team ever.
Yeah,
that we had. It's just a fun style of basketball to watch. I will never be ungrateful for the LeBron years. Obviously, I mean, they gave us one before we died. That's a thing in Cleveland. He gave us one before we died. But the style of play that this Cavaliers team plays, the selflessness, the hustle, movement. It's just everything about this team is it's honestly the most fun I've had watching the Cavs since I was a kid, and I can't wait to watch this team in the playoffs.
You gave me an idea. I got to see. You know, we work hard to try to get guests. I know we couldn't get one for tonight, but you know who'd be a fascinating person to talk to?
Who?
A fascinating person to talk to would be Tristan Thompson.
Sure, yeah.
A guy that was part of all those LeBron teams, a guy that won a championship in Cleveland with the Cavaliers with LeBron.
Yeah.
But also a guy that's part of this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to hear his take. I don't think he would certainly maybe say it the way that you say it, because I had a lot of fun watching those LeBron teams too.
Well, yeah, for sure.
I'd love to hear his take on it. I think that's great. So, all right. So I had a couple more quick hitters, but it's already 10:37. So I think we're going to go to 3 cheers of the week, and I will use my cheers to do my quick hitters. So why don't we do our 3 cheers of the week? And I'll go ahead and lead us off because I went last on the last one. I've got 2 cheers of the week this week. Cheer number 1. And I think it's cool as hell. Cheer number 1 goes to my alma mater for undergrad. I know I talk a lot about being a Texas A&M Aggie, but I went to undergrad at Bowling Green State University. And what did they do this week? What did they do just the other day? Joe, I don't know if you even saw it.
I saw.
The Bowling Green State University Falcons named Eddie George as their next head coach, as their former head coach went to be an assistant coach in Philadelphia. Eddie George is the new head coach of Bowling Green, and I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped about it. Eddie was a good coach. He was where was he at before? He was down in Tennessee, wasn't he?
Tennessee State. Yeah,
Tennessee State.
Yeah. Had a good record at Tennessee State, and now he comes up to the MAC, comes back to Ohio, and he takes the reins at Bowling Green. Big time cheers for Bowling Green, the athletic department. And listen, when I was at Bowling Green, you see what Shooter McGavin says. This is the most exposure BG football has ever received, and that's not a knock on the Falcons either. I don't take it as a knock, but you have to remember, when I was at Bowling Green, it was the end of the Urban Meyer years and the beginning of a run that Bowling Green went on where they were ranked every year. Like, and Chad, you were there. You were there with me at College Game Day when they came for Northern Illinois versus Bowling Green. Michael Burner Turner against Josh Harris. When it was Bowling Green against Ben Roethlisberger in Miami, it was must. That's when I was in college there.
Who was that coach? Greg Brandon, wasn't it?
Greg Brandon was the guy that took over after Urban. So this is certainly the most exposure BG has given themselves since then. I really hope it works out. Big time cheers there. And my second, go ahead, Chad. Do you have opinions?
No. I'm excited. And we're going to try to get Eddie George on the podcast. Yeah, there we go.
Hell yeah. I've already thought about sending that message. My second cheer of the week, and this is also a timely one, but cheers to college basketball. The season has finally started. We are finally in conference tournament mode. We are getting ready for the NCAA tournament. I think Selection Sunday is next Sunday, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So conference tournaments are happening this week. And we're finally at a point where I give a shit about college basketball, the longest regular season ever of games that don't really mean anything. But we're finally in conference tournament mode, and we're finally in March Madness mode. And now is where college basketball gets to be an absolute blast. So big time cheers to college basketball, because after months of not caring, I'm very excited to finally care about college basketball. I'm going to fill out a bracket and lose by a lot because I don't know anything about these teams, but I'm still excited to watch all these games. Still excited. Chad, what's your cheer of the week? Actually, Joe, what's your cheer of the week?
I was going to say, mine kind of goes off yours. I was going to cheers. We're going to one of the great sports equinoxes of the year. March Madness leads into MLB opening day, which leads into basketball and hockey playoffs. There's a draft in there somewhere for football, but this is a great time for sports. It's ramping up. It's very exciting because beginning of the year is kind of a dry period after the national championship and Super Bowl. So let's go.
And then we go into the doldrums of regular season baseball, but it's summer.
Doldrums to some, Mike. Doldrums to some.
It's all right. You're going outside. It's great.
Yeah.
It's nice outside. It's not snowing anymore, so we don't even care.
Exactly.
All right, Chad, what's your cheer of the week?
My cheers goes to Simone Benoit, the Maple Leafs forward, for giving us one of the most iconic photos in hockey history when he went ahead and
no, it's not going to work.
Can't even see that.
It's a Superman punch. Hold on, I'll pull it up. It's
a Superman punch. He went ahead and you don't see it that often. He did a Superman punch in the fight that he was in with Winnipeg the other day. And this just goes to show you how hockey players are just kind of different. He went over to the penalty box after that.
It doesn't have to be that.
Huh?
They don't have to be different. It's just a fun thing that happened.
But they are different because he goes over to the penalty box and he resets his thumb in the penalty box because he dislocated his thumb. Yeah, look at that guy. Look at that fucking guy.
Oh, you got it. All right, nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Superman punch.
Who does
That's
that?
Crazy. Nobody
does that. But there he was. It goes over to the penalty box, resets his thumb, and I think that's it's the funnest part about hockey, right? Because he does something like this, you go sit for 5 minutes, and it's like, all right, back on the ice with you.
Yeah, right.
Same, bring it to basketball. Get the power play.
I think we should bring it to every sport. I thought about that. You should just be able to fight.
For sure.
Sure.
Just be able to fight.
Could get out of hand. There's a lot of people on the field.
Just let it go and be over with. Yeah, football. You just punch each other in the helmet.
They're wearing helmets, but it's the same thing as hockey. I love watching a hockey fight where a guy just bashes his fist into a helmet like 7 straight times. Okay, that guy doesn't care.
But nobody uses the helmet as a punching mechanism, which might be untapped potential.
Well, Myles Garrett did. Let's go, deadhead Mason Rudolph.
I know. Maybe they should take a page from Myles Garrett's book in hockey.
I love it. All right. Listen, that's going to do it for us here on episode 254 of Garage Beers. We had a great time. We talked a lot more about the Browns than I thought we would, but there's a lot going on right there, and there's still a lot of potential for stuff to go on. So we do have some guests lined up over the next few weeks. I think even the next 3 straight weeks, I think we have guests lined up unless something falls out. So we've got guests lined up big time guests too. We've got some national people, some local people. So you'll want to be a part of all that. Make sure you are tuned in for all that. Make sure you are subscribed to the OBR. We always give a cheers to the OBR for hosting us. Make sure you are subscribed there because what's happening on the OBR right now is unmatched on any website in Cleveland. The best content around the Browns happening at the OBR. Make sure you subscribe over at theobr.com and on all the socials and here on YouTube, Twitch, and everywhere you're following. Thank you. Big time thank you goes out to all of you guys, everybody that joined us live. The comments were great tonight. We had a lot of people in here tonight. So big time shout out to all of you that joined us tonight, that got into the comments. You guys were great. We appreciate you. If you didn't join us live, or you're catching us either on YouTube or Twitch later, or if you're catching us, if you're like, I don't want to look at those guys' faces, but you're catching us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the show. We really do appreciate you. Take a minute to go over to our socials and hit follow at The Garage Beers everywhere. And we will be back next week for episode 255. Until then, for Joey Whalen down in Nashville, Tennessee at Garage Beers Joe, for Chad Meyer on the east side of Cleveland at Garage Beers Chad, I am Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. We will see you next week. Until then, thanks for joining and cheers, everybody.